It was a quiet winter morning in Warren, Michigan. The kind of morning that looks ordinary until it isn't. By nightfall, 30-year-old Ashley Elkins, a devoted mother of two, would vanish without a trace. Her car would be found days later, abandoned near an apartment complex. Her phone would go silent, and what began as a missing person case would soon unravel into one of Michigan's most haunting criminal investigations in recent memory. What happened to Ashley Elkins? Our hearts go out to the family and loved ones of Ashley Elkins during this unimaginable time. Ashley was more than the headlines. She was a devoted mother, a loving daughter, a talented hairstylist, and a light to everyone who knew her. Her warmth, kindness, and strength touched countless lives, and her absence has left a void that can never truly be filled. This is True Crime Diaries, where we examine the most haunting and complex real-life cases, uncovering the human stories behind the headlines. Join us as we look deeper into the facts, the twists, and the chilling truths that remind us how fragile and precious life can be. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime features every week. Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear from you. On the morning of January 2nd, 2025, Ashley left her home in Warren to run errands. She was a hairstylist, known in her community for her warmth and work ethic, and she rarely went a day without checking in with her family. That morning, she kissed her two young sons goodbye, boys just 7 and 10 years old, and told her younger sister she'd be back soon. Around 8 a.m., Ashley's silver Chevy Malibu pulled into a 7-Eleven parking lot. Surveillance footage later showed her walking inside wearing an orange top, black jacket, and dark jeans. She looked calm, composed, completely unaware that this ordinary Thursday would be her last recorded day alive. Throughout the morning, Ashley texted casually with her mother, Monica Elkins. Then a little after 9, the messages suddenly stopped. Concern crept in. At 9:06 a.m., Monica texted her daughter about a disturbing dream she'd had the night before, that Ashley's car had been stolen. Moments later, a single text came back. Oh man, it was short, emotionless, not like Ashley at all. When Monica tried to FaceTime her daughter, the call went unanswered. She called again. Nothing. By mid-morning, worry turned into alarm. Monica drove straight to Ashley's house, hoping she'd simply forgotten her phone or fallen asleep. But the driveway was empty. Ashley was gone. Later that afternoon, another family member received a message from Ashley's number, saying she was heading to a local beauty supply store. But when they tried to call her back, the phone was already powered off, and then briefly turned on again hours later. No more messages followed. To Monica and Ashley's sister Alexis, something felt deeply wrong. They began tracking Ashley's iPhone through the Find My app. The signal led them to an apartment complex on Pinehurst Street in Roseville, just a few miles away. The address made their stomachs drop. It belonged to DeAndre Booker, Ashley's ex-boyfriend. For about a year, Ashley and DeAndre had been a couple. He'd met her family, joined them at holidays, and played with her sons as though they were his own. But after they broke up in September 2024, Ashley kept her distance. When he called, she ignored him. When he showed up unannounced, she refused to let him in. In the weeks before her disappearance, she confided to relatives that she thought DeAndre was following her, parking near her home, showing up at places she hadn't told him about. Just days earlier, he had booked a fake hair appointment through her business, using a false name, trying to trick her into opening the door. She turned him away. Now her phone was pinging from outside his apartment.
The day he came to the house, he acted like he was a client, and he made an appointment with her. She was expecting that client, it was him. And they were in the house quiet. She told him to be quiet. He knocked on the front door on the side door, and then he left, and then here is 2 days later, she's gone.
5 days later, on January 7th, police located Ashley's silver Malibu in the parking lot of another apartment complex near 13 Mile and Little Mac Road in Roseville, only 4 miles from DeAndre's place. The keys were sitting neatly on the seat.
It's not pleasant. I just got off work. I've been out here all weekend. I am concerned. She's a good person. She's a mother too. I mean, anything outside of that, that's the main focus right there. She has babies, so that's our focus as a family.
Her family, her kids, she would never just disappear for this many days.
To investigators, that detail was chilling. Ashley was cautious. She would never leave her car unlocked, much less with the keys visible. The Elkins family already suspected what police were just beginning to uncover, that Ashley's disappearance was connected to her ex. Detectives began retracing her final movements, reviewing security footage from Pinehurst Street. What they saw was unsettling. At 8 a.m., Ashley's car pulled into DeAndre Booker's lot. She stepped out in the same clothes she'd worn at 7-Eleven. Orange top, black jacket, dark jeans. Then hours later, around noon, the camera captured two figures walking toward that same car. One, a man dressed in black jeans, a coat and hat, matching DeAndre's build. The other appeared to be a woman, though her outfit was different. The grainy footage made positive identification impossible. The two climbed into Ashley's car. The woman drove. They turned left out of the complex. The car never came back. When police questioned Monica about her daughter's relationship with DeAndre, her voice trembled. He used to be like family, she said, but she didn't trust him anymore. She said he made her nervous. Neighbors at Pinehurst later recalled hearing movement that morning. Footsteps, a door slamming, but nothing loud enough to call in.
I'm telling you, it's not like
why would she go over there today?
I feel like because she had some financial problems, and he used a person like help out. And
2 days after Ashley disappeared, DeAndre phoned Roseville police claiming his apartment had been broken into. He said he hadn't slept there the night before and wanted them to check the unit. When officers arrived, they found the door unlocked, slightly ajar. No DeAndre, no signs of forced entry. Inside, they were hit by a strong smell of bleach. Gloves sat discarded on the sofa. A laptop and headphones rested neatly on the table, untouched. The room wasn't ransacked. It wasn't a burglary. Down the hallway, the bathroom door was open, and what the officers found there would change the course of the investigation. 2 bottles of bleach sat near the tub, one on the floor, one on the counter. The shower curtain was missing. The bathtub drain was clogged with debris. When officers used tweezers to examine it, they pulled out strands of hair tangled with a reddish residue. Small spatter stains marked the walls and tiles. A faint smear on the back of the bathroom door. The space had been wiped clean, but not well enough. If you've been following closely, take a second to hit like and subscribe, because this case is about to get even darker. The clues hidden in that apartment would lead detectives straight to a truth more disturbing than anyone imagined. As investigators sealed off the unit, what they found painted a grim picture. The scent of ammonia and bleach was overwhelming. Every surface looked freshly scrubbed, yet faint traces of blood still glimmered under forensic lights. The hallway walls, closet doors, and even baseboards showed evidence of hasty cleanup attempts. A mop stood in the corner, damp and streaked with diluted pink residue. In the kitchen, officers found 2 types of garbage bags, heavy-duty black contractor bags and thin pink ones used throughout the apartment. Several had been torn open and reused. The kitchen bin was empty, lined with a fresh black bag. Next to it sat an open box of gloves. Nothing about the scene felt like a robbery. There were no signs of valuables taken, no forced entry. It felt controlled, methodical, planned. When forensic teams sprayed luminol, the chemical reaction revealed a map of violence, an almost invisible trail of blood droplets leading from the bathroom to the hallway and into the living area. In the bathroom drain, a plumber was called to disassemble the pipes. What they retrieved left seasoned detectives silent. A silver hoop earring, a small clump of hair, and a bullet fragment lodged deep inside the S-bend. Underneath the couch, they found a handgun, later confirmed to be registered to DeAndre Booker. The evidence was stacking up fast, but so were the questions. If Ashley never left the apartment alive, where was her body? Investigators turned to surveillance footage from the Pinehurst complex, focusing on the hours after Ashley arrived. At 3 p.m., DeAndre is seen on camera carrying a large cardboard box toward the dumpster in the far corner of the lot. He disappears behind the bin for several minutes before walking back, empty-handed. As daylight faded, his movements grew stranger. Just after 11 p.m., he reappears, crossing the street to a nearby 7-Eleven, returning moments later with a shopping cart. For the next 4 hours, the camera captured him in a grim, repetitive routine, hauling bags to dumpsters across the property, one after another. By 1 a.m., he's carrying a large, heavy-duty black bag, straining under its weight. At 4 a.m., his figure moves through the shadows along the tree line, separating the complex from neighboring buildings. Again, he's holding a dark bag. He disappears behind a dumpster and returns empty-handed. The final footage, timestamped 4:17 a.m., is the most haunting. DeAndre pushes the cart again, but this time it's full. He struggles to lift a heavy object from it into the dumpster, fails once, then bends down, gathers his strength, and hoists it in. The motion lasts nearly 5 minutes. He dumps more items in after that, then leaves the cart behind and walks back into the building. The next morning, garbage collection came and went. By the time police uncovered the footage, it was too late. The dumpsters had already been emptied. Still, investigators seized the bins for testing. At the bottom of one container, they discovered blood traces that matched Ashley Elkins' DNA. Inside the apartment, every sample told the same story. The blood in the bathroom, Ashley's. The hair from the drain, Ashley's. The bullet fragment, a ballistic match to DeAndre's handgun. To law enforcement, this was no longer a missing person case. It was murder. But without a body, the next step was critical, proving how and where DeAndre disposed of her remains. Trash from that specific dumpster was traced to a transfer station on Gratiot Avenue, where it was then compacted and transported to the Pine Tree Acres landfill in Lenox Township, a massive 370-acre facility. Beginning January 13th, officers from 15 law enforcement agencies spent 5 straight days combing through a 6.5-acre section of the landfill. They worked shoulder to shoulder in the freezing cold, sifting through trash 2 inches at a time, searching for any clue. Fabric, jewelry, bone, anything that might belong to Ashley. By the 5th day, they were exhausted, covered in dirt, and heartbroken. No remains were found. The search was suspended, but not closed.
Taking back for processing. We're not sure if they're related to the case or not, so we got to do some more work on that. I think we're in the right spot. We just got more work ahead of us.
Investigators still believed Ashley's body had been placed in that dumpster during those early morning hours. They just hadn't found it yet. When officers returned to the Elkins family to update them, Monica's voice broke as she asked, "So you're saying she never left his apartment?" Detective Harding paused. "Ma'am," he said gently, "every piece of evidence we've tested points to that conclusion." Monica sat still for a moment, then whispered, "He killed her, didn't he?" The detective didn't answer. Meanwhile, DeAndre Booker was on the move. In 2 brief phone calls with investigators, he claimed Ashley had come over that morning to talk, stayed for a while, then left just fine. When asked if she was wearing the same clothes she'd worn earlier that day, he said yes. When asked if she left in her silver Malibu, he repeated yes. Detectives already knew he was lying. The footage told another story. A warrant was issued for lying to a peace officer, and detectives began tracking his location through phone data and surveillance. Their findings were chillingly methodical. After disposing of the trash, DeAndre left his apartment around 6 a.m. on January 3rd. Cameras caught him outside the Motor City pawn shop, tossing small items into yet another dumpster, before hailing an Uber to Flint, Michigan, nearly 70 miles away. When police finally caught up with him at his girlfriend's house in Flint, they found the same black fur-lined coat, dark ripped jeans, and hats seen on the figure dumping bags that night. His phone was confiscated and a search warrant granted access to his data.
We met with Chief Berlin and we met with multiple deputy chief, and they gave us an update on what was found yesterday. What they indicated was there was substantial evidence collected at the home of the ex-boyfriend. They also indicated that based upon that evidence, that Ashley was murdered. They don't have her body at this time. They do have good leads on where her body is. They have a strong suspicion of where she may be.
The boys, 10, 7 years old,
Yes.
won't have a mom anymore.
No, they won't.
What happens next for them?
It's going to take a lot of family. Everyone here is going to take the love and support of the family. They do have their father. They have grandparents. Everyone's going to embrace them and support them. That's actually starting now. The healing starts now.
What detectives discovered next solidified the horror. Starting December 29th, days before Ashley vanished, DeAndre's Google searches painted a chilling picture of premeditation. 9mm silencer, Roseville, Michigan. Murder out of rage. X. Shotgun through pillow. Can you track a location when phone is off? What happens to trash after it's picked up? After the murder while hiding in Flint, his searches shifted. What to do on the run? How to beat a polygraph? Delete Google history. It was clear. DeAndre Booker wasn't just panicking. He had planned every stage, from silencing Ashley to erasing his digital trail. If you're still watching, hit like and comment below. What details shocked you most so far? Because what investigators found next would tear open not just a case of murder, but a story of manipulation that pulled an unsuspecting family member straight into DeAndre's web. When officers arrived at the small Flint home where DeAndre Booker had been staying, he didn't resist. He looked tired, hollow, and strangely calm. Inside the house, they found his black coat, the same one seen in the surveillance videos, still damp with traces of bleach. His jeans matched perfectly with the footage from the Pinehurst apartment complex. As he was let out in handcuffs, one of the detectives would later recall that DeAndre seemed detached, almost rehearsed. "He looked at us like he was watching himself in a movie," the detective said. No panic, no denial, just emptiness. At the station, investigators reviewed everything they had: the DNA, the blood, the bullet, the surveillance tapes, and now the phone data. The digital evidence connected each dot. There was no longer a doubt that DeAndre had meticulously planned Ashley's murder. But the horror didn't end there. While searching through DeAndre's phone, investigators discovered a series of text messages and call logs that revealed another chilling detail. On the afternoon of January 2nd, after Ashley was likely already dead, DeAndre had contacted a young woman named Payne Barksdale. Payne was the adopted daughter of DeAndre's sister, technically his niece, and though she was only in her 20s, she'd always looked up to him. Growing up, he was the supportive uncle figure who'd check in on her, tell jokes, and help her with school.
He called me and he said that he needed his friend's vehicle to be removed from his apartment complex because he didn't want to get in trouble.
Now, his apartment complex, had you ever been there before?
No, that was my first time.
Do you know the address?
No, I do not.
Do you know what city it's in?
Roseville.
So he called you and said he needed help with moving a car, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a co-worker, it was a male co-worker. He said that he had went to his house, the car wasn't registered, so it didn't have any plates. He had just bought the vehicle, he didn't have a license, and so with me having a license, he wanted me to drive it to his co-worker's house. He said the cops was hot in the area, so me having a license, if I was to get pulled over, I wouldn't be in trouble.
Okay.
So that was...
So at some point on January 2nd of this year, do you go to the defendant's apartment?
Yes, he requested Uber.
Who requested it?
DeAndre requested Uber from me, from my apartment to go to his apartment.
They had reconnected only recently, and she still trusted him completely. That afternoon, DeAndre had called her asking for a quick favor. He said a friend needed help moving a car to another complex. Payne agreed without hesitation. When Payne arrived at the Pinehurst complex, DeAndre handed her keys to a silver Malibu, Ashley's car. He told her to move it to another parking lot nearby and to leave the keys on the seat. Payne followed every instruction, unaware of the horror behind it. When they finished, DeAndre tossed a pink bag into a dumpster nearby and told her it was just trash. To the police, this revelation was chilling. Payne hadn't just unknowingly helped move Ashley's car. She had helped DeAndre stage part of his cover-up. Months later, Payne would testify in court. Nervously, she recounted the day, her voice trembling. "He told me it was his friend's car, that he was just helping someone out. He didn't seem nervous, just calm, like it was normal. I didn't think to question it." When asked what she thought now, Payne looked down. "He used me," she whispered. "I'll never forgive myself for that."
And he asked me, if you turn a phone off, will anyone still see your location? I said, whatever location the phone was at before the phone was turned off, then yes. And then he asked if him and I could share locations.
So when he asked you this was after you were at Kelly Beauty with the defendant, correct?
Yes.
Her testimony confirmed what investigators already knew, that DeAndre had carefully orchestrated the movement of Ashley's car to mislead police and delay suspicion. As detectives pieced everything together, DeAndre's lies began to collapse. The phone records, the Uber logs, and the surveillance footage all aligned perfectly. The timeline was undeniable. Ashley had entered his apartment that morning. By afternoon, she was dead. By night, he was disposing of evidence. When confronted with the Google searches found on his phone, DeAndre stayed silent. He asked for a lawyer, but even in custody, his behavior remained unpredictable. He would alternate between calm silence and sudden outbursts. In one recorded moment, while being moved between holding cells, he shouted, "You can't prove anything." "There's no body." Detectives didn't respond. They didn't have to. The evidence was already doing the talking. By August 2025, the case reached a preliminary hearing. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, true crime enthusiasts, and Ashley's grieving family filled every bench. When DeAndre was brought in, he refused to sit. He argued with deputies, cursed under his breath, and stared blankly at Ashley's mother, Monica, who sat trembling in the front row, clutching her daughter's photograph. When the judge instructed him to sit, he smirked. "I don't have to listen to this," he said.
Mr. Booker, I was told earlier that you did not want to sit. You can sit if you wish, but if you don't want, you can stand. No response, so with that, you need a question, witness.
Judge, I want to place on the record an objection to the defendant posturing in this manner in an attempt, in my opinion, to intimidate witnesses that are going to be testifying against him today. The court runs its courtroom the way it sees fit, and I recognize that, but I didn't want to just place it on the record.
On the second day, he refused to come out of his holding cell. The court tried connecting him by video, but even then he wrapped himself in a blanket, yelling and muttering at the screen.
DeAndre Booker, can you hear the court?
Your Honor, it's obvious to me that is in the cell. He's not making himself available for visibility purposes. I can let the court know that based upon my conversations and meetings with Mr. Booker.
Just 1 second, please. It's real clear to the court that Mr. Booker is screaming. He's in the jail cell. Rather than just listen to that, I don't know if you can hear us there, but if you would have him muted, please.
The judge eventually muted him so the proceedings could continue. Over several days, the prosecution presented a mountain of evidence. Over 200 exhibits, photographs, digital logs, DNA results, and video footage. Every detail pointed to the same truth. Ashley Elkins was murdered inside DeAndre Booker's apartment, and he alone was responsible. When Monica took the stand, the courtroom fell silent. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "She was my baby girl. She called me every day, even when she was busy. When she stopped answering, I knew something was wrong."
Relationship? Have you been around them when they were?
Yeah, he was around my whole family. When I say I thought he was the one who was going to marry her, he was good to our kids. He played ball with them. He took me to their haircuts. He was there. He was always at my house. I cooked. He was part of the family. So I'm just really shook that he would do something like this. But we accepted him. We accepted you in our family. met her grandmother, you met her aunt, you met all her father's side of the family. You were good to those boys. You know, you didn't think that how it would affect those boys, the ones you got their haircut, the ones you kept sometimes when she had to run errands, the ones you played ball with, the ones you took to the park. You didn't care about them.
A mother just knows the prosecutor asked what she wanted from the trial. "I just want him to say where she is," Monica replied, tears in her eyes. "That's all I want, to bring her home." DeAndre sat motionless, eyes fixed on the table. As the hearing went on, more of DeAndre's background surfaced. Once a U.S. Army veteran, he had gone AWOL in 2017, leading to a less than honorable discharge. He had prior convictions for larceny and fraud and was unemployed at the time of the murder. His past painted a picture of instability, a man who had spiraled downward long before January 2025. Prosecutors argued that Ashley's attempt to cut him off triggered a violent obsession. The phrase "murder out of rage," which appeared in his search history, became the backbone of their case. When asked if DeAndre had ever expressed anger toward Ashley, one friend told the court, he said if he couldn't have her, nobody could. Judge Michelle Bodker presided over the hearing. After days of testimony, she called both sides into chambers. The defense argued that the evidence, though extensive, was circumstantial, that without a body, there could be no definitive proof of death. But the prosecution countered with one irrefutable fact. Ashley's DNA was everywhere it shouldn't have been, on walls, drains, floors, and inside the pipes of the very home where DeAndre lived. Judge Bodker took a deep breath and ruled that more time was needed to review the full court transcripts and evidence. A final decision on moving the case to trial would be made after a thorough review. The Elkins family waited. Hearts heavy, hope thin, but not gone. If this case has you speechless, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the final chapter of this story reveals not just the legal aftermath, but the lasting wound left behind. What happens when justice arrives but closure never does? For Ashley's family, the months that followed felt endless. They had answers, but no peace. The evidence was overwhelming, yet the one thing that mattered most, bringing Ashley home, remained out of reach. The GoFundMe page that began as a desperate plea for help searching for her had now become a fund to support her two sons, ages 7 and 10. Her mother, Monica, updated the page quietly one evening. "We still believe she deserves to be found. We won't stop looking." The boys were now living with their father and other relatives. They still asked when their mom would come back. No one knew how to answer. As the investigation pushed toward a full trial, prosecutors promised the family they would keep fighting, not just to prove guilt, but to give Ashley's name the dignity she deserved. In the courtroom months later, DeAndre was finally brought face to face with the evidence again. He looked thinner, older, and quieter. His demeanor had changed, but not from remorse, from exhaustion. The prosecutor's voice was steady as she addressed the court. This was not an act of passion. This was control. Every step he took, from disabling her phone, to cleaning the scene, to Googling how to dispose of evidence, shows intent. The defense repeated its stance: no body, no murder. They claimed that the evidence only proved a struggle, not a death. But the prosecution countered that the volume of blood found in the apartment was incompatible with life. When crime scene photos were displayed, Monica couldn't look. Her hands trembled as her sister held her arm. Across the room, DeAndre stared at the monitor without flinching. A detective testified, "We may not have recovered her remains, but we know what happened in that apartment." The evidence speaks louder than words. After days of testimony and deliberation, the judge returned to deliver her ruling. The courtroom was silent. The evidence, she said, formed a clear and undeniable chain. From the surveillance footage to the DNA, the search history, the cleanup, and the witness testimonies, each piece fit perfectly. There was no reasonable doubt left. DeAndre Booker was charged with first-degree premeditated murder, tampering with evidence, criminal impersonation, and disinterment or mutilation of a body. He was ordered to be held without bond. Ashley's mother wept as the words were read. "It's not over," she whispered, but at least we're closer. Even as the case moved forward, the emotional wreckage was heavy. In interviews, Monica described the quiet moments that hit hardest, folding Ashley's clothes, hearing her sons laugh, realizing they sounded more and more like her. Ashley's co-workers from the salon visited the family regularly. They organized candlelight vigils, sharing stories of how she'd always stayed late to help a client, or how she'd talk about her boys nonstop. She wasn't just a victim, one of them said through tears. She was a light. And that light doesn't go out because of what he did. The community of Warren and Roseville gathered around the Elkins family, rallying with the slogan #Justice for Ashley. Even with the verdict, one haunting question lingered. Why? Why did DeAndre's obsession turn to violence? What pushed him to destroy not just Ashley's life, but his own future too? Investigators believe jealousy and rejection were at the heart of it. Ashley had moved on, emotionally if not yet physically. DeAndre couldn't accept that. His internet searches about rage and revenge revealed a man spiraling into paranoia and control. In the wake of her death, Ashley's family established the Ashley Elkins Memorial Fund, dedicated to supporting women escaping abusive relationships. They also began pushing for local programs on stalking prevention and digital safety, hoping Ashley's story could save others. Her name began appearing on advocacy sites, news broadcasts, and podcasts, a symbol of both heartbreak and resilience. At her memorial, her sister read a line from Ashley's old journal, one she'd written months before her death. "No matter what happens, I want my boys to know that love always wins in the end." Those words became the foundation of the fund's mission statement. When DeAndre returned to court for sentencing, the silence was suffocating. The judge spoke firmly. "You took a mother from her children, a daughter from her parents, and a light from her community. You showed no remorse. The evidence shows intent and cruelty. You will spend the rest of your life in prison." DeAndre Booker was sentenced to life without parole. He showed no reaction, no apology, no emotion. As deputies led him away, Monica finally exhaled. She didn't cheer, she didn't cry out. She simply whispered a prayer under her breath. God, let her rest now. Ashley Elkins' story is one of love, betrayal, and the devastating impact of control. A mother who only wanted peace, a family who refused to give up, and investigators who turned relentless determination into justice, even without a body. But this case also raises a question every viewer should sit with. How do we protect those who believe they're safe when danger hides in the people they once trusted most? If this story moved you, share it. Someone out there might need to hear it. And if you want more stories where truth is stranger and more heartbreaking than fiction, subscribe to True Crime Diaries, because sometimes awareness can save a life. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and always look a little deeper. This is True Crime Diaries, where every story has a pulse.